Got up at 6:15 this morning and went in to brush my teeth, and all that kind of stuff. And I just felt drawn to go to my study. It was real quiet. And, so I just went in there and I said, Lord, what do you want? I know him and he knows me. He said, I want you to speak this morning. I said, you haven't given me time to prepare. He said, isn't that good? I said, no. I said, can I just write down a few things? He said, very few. I just want you to minister what I tell you this morning. I said, all right. Hebrews chapter 12. I love chapter 11 and chapter 12, especially chapter 11, because I'm believing God that one day in heaven, my name might get entered into that chapter. You can't add anything to it or take anything away here, but it's very possible it can be added to and ministered there because we go into eternity. These are called the heroes of faith in Hebrews chapter 11. It tells you how to please God. It tells you what to do with faith. It tells you that faith is not a future thing, even though it has the ability to create a future, but it's a now thing, which means when you pray, believe that you receive, not when you get it, not when you see it, but when you prayed. And he says, now faith is. Then it tells you through faith what God did. And then it says by faith, and all these great examples. And every one of these examples had tragedies and different things in their life that came their way in life. One says women received their dead. I believe that's in Hebrews 11, verse 35. Raised to life again, and others were tortured. Watch this. Not accepting deliverance. That is one of the most powerful statements. You're being tortured, and here comes Jesus Christ to deliver you. You go, no. And yet the finite mind, the intellectual activity, the range and research, the induction reason mind can't handle that because you want that to stop so they could obtain a better resurrection. And yet even the greatest theologians and the greatest ministers in the world still don't have the fullness of the depth of that statement. We won't know that till we get there. And he's talking about all these things. And he tells you what some of these people went through. And it didn't bother them people at all. It seemed like they just kept walking. And the question came up in my mind this morning, why? Why didn't they quit? Why didn't they stop? And said, I've had enough of this. And I've seen so many Christians do that. And then my eyes fell on chapter 12, verse 1. Wherefore, seeing we also are encompassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and sin which doth easily beset us. And let us run with patience the race that is set before us. So there's a race, and you're in it. You have a number. Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross. What joy was he talking about? You. So you could come boldly to the throne of grace. He endured that cross, despising the shame. He didn't like it, he despised it. And is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. That's his location. I want to deal with one little statement that my eyes hit this morning. Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of. Now, you should take the word our out because that's italics, which means it was added at the expense of the translators. The finisher of faith. In other words, what he starts, he finishes. I'm going to talk about the finish line. The finish line. I tell Kathy, when I married her, whatever we start, we will finish. We don't believe in backing up on nothing. A lot of times we've been hindered. And sometimes seem like a long time. And Satan has the power to hinder, but he doesn't have the power to stop. If you understand the finish line. Because the finish line produces who you are. And the finish line is the future. It's where you're going. I want to deal with that. Looking unto Jesus. You can't finish without looking at Jesus and unto Jesus, who authored you and finished you. So if you're going through some hard times and things are going wrong and it doesn't seem like anything's happening right, remember, God, he didn't author the trouble, but he will finish that trouble in your life. And you'll come out ahead no matter what happens. I mean, I have been robbed by people, and yet, my God, I've had this tsunami blessing come upon me that was beyond what I could possibly ask or think. They thought they could. Satan robbed me sometime because he's a robber. He's a thief. He come to kill, steal, and destroy. But yet I caught him and got it 7 times back, and then the Lord blessed it with 30, 60, 100-fold and 1,000 times. But the only way that I could achieve that was if I kept my eyes on Jesus, looking to him, because not only I didn't finish by myself. I was watching the Olympics that just recently happened, and you might have seen these girls were running, and they got in an accident on the field or on the track. And I mean, they ran over. And one of them really got hurt pretty bad. And one of them stopped. She stopped her. She'd been training all these years. You got to understand, to stop. And you might have seen that it was a wonderful act of love and to help that person. But the one that was in excruciating pain, no matter how bad it was, she made up her mind to finish. And that got way more world attention than a lot of people that won the bronze. And the bronze medal is not bad, because out of 7 billion people on the earth, you number 3. Do you realize you number 3? But yet the world was shocked at what the pain she endured to get to the finish line, and the person that helped her. We'll just cross it together if we got to. We'll do whatever. And the other girl said, go on, you finish your race. You see, if we run together, if one of us get hurt, we can stop and help each other. But we can't do it without looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. Now, he authored what you believe in for. And I've said this many times, and then I'm going to get into this message. Faith insists, and if you hadn't heard me say this, write it down. Faith insists on possessing possessions. You see, you think you bought that thing because you liked it. What happened was God authored faith in you to believe that you could get that. And your faith insists that you get it. And the church misunderstood that as greed, when it's actually growth. It's faith pushing you spiritually, physically, financially to achieve and to finish. It insists. Whatever you might like. You may like the car. The reason why you got that car was not because you could afford it or someone would finance it. It's because the faith in you that God authored said you can have that. And it insisted that you get it. And it will. That's why it bothers you. That's why a woman wants some new furniture. Because the old furniture, you can still sit on it. It may not look good, but it don't make no difference. It's still working, right? But boy, she'll start telling her husband, we just need to do something with this house. And people say, well, they just want, no, that's faith insisting that you possess a possession. Or in other words, no one should have your stuff. But you can't get that without seeing the finish line, and you'll never get to the finish line without looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher. So write this down if you're taking notes. Transformation comes by looking, and that look must be a loving look and a believing look. Transformation comes to get to the finish line. You have to be transformed. Be not conformed to this world, but you transform, right? By the renewing of your mind. Transformation comes by looking, and that look must be a loving look and a believing look. When I was young, I noticed Kathy, I'd catch her looking at me. I was at the swimming pool. Oh, did I have a pretty body? Oh, you should have saw it. You got to see it by faith now, but I mean, that's God. I mean, back then. I was young, and I'd see Kathy put an eyeglass. I said, oh, she looking. I got her. I had that six-pack rippling muscle. Lord, Jesus. Why don't you look like that? I didn't finish. I stopped the workouts and all that stuff. But see, a lot of people say, I did the best I could. God never asked you to do the best you could. That's why you failed. Because your best is not good enough. He said, do the best he can. And how you do that is by not trying to do his job. Just look at it and follow. So look, transformation comes by looking, and that look must be a loving look and a believing look. See, imitation, write this down, must have a model. Imitation must have a model. Jesus said, be ye therefore imitators of God as dear children. To get to the finish line, you got to imitate something.
Now available on TotalJDM.org. Watch everything, anywhere, anytime. Go to TotalJDM.org and sign up today.
This media is copyrighted by Jesse Duplantis Ministries for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this media or of any pictures or accounts without Jesse Duplantis Ministries' consent is strictly prohibited.